Today, I'm going to meet Komal from VEGA, and she have like two golden advices for you that I don't want you to miss. And those are advices for parents. The first one, don't compare your child to yourself. Don't try to create a child that fits your standard because they are different. And the second one is give them free time. Give them some time to play. Don't structure everything in your day. So I think you're going to really enjoy our conversation. Hi, Komal. Thank you for joining me today. I hear great things about your educational philosophy. And the first question that I want to ask you is the same question that I ask everybody. It's like, how did you become an educator?
Okay. So I think that's a question that you hear all the time. So I would say that I entered the industry by chance, but I decided to stay on by choice. So I was actually pursuing my PhD in biotechnology. And, I was working with the United Nations lab. It was a science lab. And we used to be holed up inside these closed rooms doing our experiments for a couple of days, sometimes not even seeing the sun. Because when an experiment goes on, it takes that kind of time and you need to be present to take the readings. And I'm such a people's person that I think after I was there for about a year. And I said, this is not the life that I want to lead in future. And I'm such a people's person that I would like to meet with more people. And I had a friend, in fact, a colleague who was working there, who said, till the time that you figure out what you want to do in life, why don't you just check out this school? And it has just opened a couple of years ago, and it's supposed to be very different. I said, okay, let me go. And there's this very funny story that I'm just going to tell you. You're looking at, I was 22, 23 years old. I just finished my master's and I had enrolled myself in the PhD program. And so my father decided to come to see this particular school, saying, okay, I don't want her to go alone. Let me just go with her. And I was walking into the school, and there was this young lady who was walking in front of me, wearing a loose t-shirt, very short cropped hair, had a backpack on, and she was wearing these, I don't know, you'd call it culottes, or I don't know, something, those short, I would say long shorts or short trousers. So there was this lady who was walking in front of me, and my father looked at me, and he was a part of the Indian Army. So, very disciplined and very proper. And he looked at her and he said, what kind of a school is this? This doesn't seem like the right kind of school that you should be a part of. And I turned and I saw that she entered inside a classroom. I looked at my dad and I said, this is the school that I would like to be a part of, because this seems to be such a different school. And I had very short hair at that time, and I was very boyish and stuff. So, and just entered the school at that point of time and never left, because I think the kind of freedom that the school gave me to just experiment and the kind of stuff that we ended up doing inside and outside the classroom was just amazing. Never felt like leaving after that.
And you're starting a journey which is, a teacher, a principal, so it's a very, very long journey. How is this evolved for you? Like, what's the feelings?
Okay, so, it has actually been a long journey, because I feel that I've been a teacher. Because I'm a passionate sports person, I've played basketball at school level, college level. So I was very interested, in fact, still very interested in sports. So I was a sports coordinator, and then I became an academic coordinator. Then I became a vice principal, and finally became a principal. So I would say that I've done all the roles, which is important for any educator, especially, and I'm not saying that I was aspiring to become an administrator at that point of time, but I think it's important if you've done all that, because tomorrow when somebody turns around and says, no, this can't be done, or you've never done it, you don't know how it feels like, nobody can say that to me, because I've done everything. And so you have practical experience of doing a lot of things. So I think that does help you in your journey, because you know what is achievable and what is not.
And the education system changed a lot during those years, right? Since you arrived with your dad and all that. And what you see now as like the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities in education?
Yeah, as far as the challenge is concerned, I would say the challenge has always been the parent community. And when I say the parent community, I'm talking of how the expectations are changing, and sometimes unrealistic expectations of the parents from their own children and also from the school. And I don't know how it is in your country, but when you look at India, obviously, I would say in those 30 years, the expectations from the parents have not changed much. It is still very academically oriented, because you think that marks is the, or more marks is the way to success. Although we all look around and we see, in fact, the backbenchers are the ones who end up doing far better in life than the ones who sit right in front. So I would say that is the basic challenge, because somewhere there seems to be, you're always constantly fighting, and fighting is maybe the wrong word, but kind of at loggerheads with the parent community at times, because you have certain beliefs, because you have that expertise, but the parental expectations. So a mismatch between the parental expectations and what the school is doing. I would say that, and I think that challenge will stay there. But another challenge that we are facing right now, especially after the COVID, is social media. I think it's killing all of us, whether it's cell phones inside the school, and we don't allow cell phones in school, but I'm just talking about the access to information, because I don't think that the kids are mature enough to sift and find out what is the right information for them, because there's such an explosion of just information. I'm not even saying knowledge. And I think that is becoming a little bit challenging for us, because I think kids are learning too many things too soon, and maybe not from the right sources. So I would say that is maybe that's another challenge that we're facing right now.
So if I want to follow up on this. So for example, like about the solar, mobile phone social network, I think the parents are experiencing the same problem. Like they also don't know what's true and what's not. Like none of us, our brain is flooded with the information that many times people want us to see, and we don't even know that. So yeah.
But I also feel, see, when you talk about all these things, more and more research is talking about the fact that the kids should actually not be exposed to social media or cell phones or anything else like that till 16 years of age. So I just feel that the parents have a huge role to play, because according to the parents, everything that's going wrong with the kids is courtesy the school, and everything that's right is courtesy them, and it doesn't work like that.
So you're like, and the second thing about the parents, again, this is something we experience everywhere. It's global, about like, the helicopter parents and the parents that wants the great,
Yes.
They want safety sometimes to their kids, and etc. But like you see acceleration in the need of parents to micromanage.
Yes. Absolutely. See, I also feel, because the parents, in fact, the city that we are in, where both parents are working, they have little time for their kids. But whatever time that they have is more about micromanaging them and finding out. So kind of compensating for the time that they're not spending by spending too much time of whatever is left in seeing and micromanaging and seeing what they're up to. Because I think there is also a certain element of guilt that they go through, because they feel they've not spent enough time with them. So, okay, so if I have a couple of hours, let me just be with them 24/7 and see and micromanage what their life is going to be. It doesn't work like that. So I feel a lot of issues, and I'm not just blaming it to the parent community, but I'm also saying that I think we adults are, I don't want to use any kind of wrong language, but I think the kids are turning out like this because somewhere we are not doing the right thing. So I think it's more our fault. And when I say our, I'm talking of the adults than the kids' fault.
Oh, definitely. Kids eventually imitates us. And, and the parent that sits on their phone all day long and then tell the children, you should be only 2 hours on your mobile phone. It's funny because,
Yeah.
So
in
don't
fact,
lead like that.
Yeah, we've just started our, so we've moved away from the conventional libraries and we've moved to classroom libraries. But when we sent out the circular, we said the kid is going to read if you read, and we are happy to provide you with books to read. Because if the child sees a mobile in your hand and you're expecting that the child is going to be reading a book, that's not going to happen. So obviously we need to be role models for them, and I don't think we are good role models for them.
Yeah. What opportunities do you see right now for children?
Okay, so this is what opportunities, and I'm going to say as an educator, see it also somewhere where you say that the parents are also a challenge, but I would also say there is there's a huge opportunity over there, because compared to what education was 30 years ago, now education seems to be much more than what it was in the conventional terms. And I would also say that there is a set of parents who are extremely open to the changes and the new things that you would want to bring about in education, and not just concentrate on conventional education. So I would also say that the opportunity is in the vast canvas of what you can do in a school, and the kind of opportunities which not just the parent community, but I would also say that the school leaders, or I would say school promoters, give you in saying paint the way you want to, and give the children the best possible. And the best possible is left for you to define, rather than somebody being dictatorial and saying, no, you need to make sure that the kids have great board results. No, you need to make sure that, so that kind of stuff is changing from what it was earlier and to what it's become right now. So I would say the opportunity right now is sky is the limit as to what you can do with your children in school.
Yeah, it's one of the things, by the way, we see with BriBooks, because it's like, the fact that a second grader can write a book and publish it, and people all around the world read it and buy it, clearly was not available a couple of years ago. So there is like,
Yes.
lots of opportunities like this. Now, you have a lot of new teachers coming into the school. What advice do you give a teacher when they first come to teach in your school?
So I'll tell you, we use this terminology at VEGA, which is called the growth mindset. And I think it's a very standard, it's a very standard term, but not too many schools use this word. I think for us, what is most important is the attitude than anything else. So the only advice that we have for them is, we may, look at training you or doing anything, but we can only do that much for you. The rest of it completely depends on you as to how you would want to take this further and improve your learning. And somewhere it is important that you continue to grow, and that growth is only going to happen when you either read. And I think reading is just, we are educators, and we should be reading almost every single day, and, at least a couple of pages, or at least read a book a month. But you will be surprised. We interview teachers all the time. And if I ask them, which is the last book that you read, they're like, okay, I'll have to think about it. And they can't remember that. So I just feel the only advice that I have to new teachers is just read. Just read. And it doesn't matter what you're reading, whatever interests you. But yes, if you can read books on education, I think that'll be wonderful. And now there's technology. You can have your podcasts, you can have your ebooks, you can have all that. You could be walking and you could be listening to the book. So there's an audiobook that's available to you. So there's so much, but read. And I'm not saying this because I'm on BriBooks, but I'm just saying that's what we tell our teachers. Just read.
I totally agree. And by the way, one of the advices that I give teachers all the time in the context of BriBooks is write a book. I always tell them, like, write a children's book. And because, many times a teacher is asking, oh, how should we follow with the kids? I would suggest, spend a couple of hours, write a book. If you write a book and the outcome, so you have teachers that always wanted to write a book, which is funny. They see it like, a great opportunity. And then you have the other teachers that it pushes them back into reading, and etc. But anyway, but this is really about BriBooks. I don't want to. This should not be a BriBooks discussion. Okay, last question. The parents are coming. You have a new bunch, a group of kids. It can be on their first days in school, or maybe in a later age. What advice do you give? What advice do you give parents when they join the school?
Yeah. Okay. What advice we give parents? I think the advice that we give our parents is, one, at least, just back off a little bit. Let the child kind of prosper and develop on his own, rather than being on the child's case all the time. And stop comparing your child with somebody else, because every child has a different time. And in Hindi, if this is going to be used by, if you're going to be broadcasting it, if people can understand, it says apna time aayega. Apna time aayega basically means that each one of us is going to reach our potential at a different time. But if you're going to be comparing and saying, but that child is doing X and why aren't you doing this X at this point of time, that's not going to happen, because we are all different individuals. So stop comparing yourself with your child with anybody else, and just let him develop and explore. And especially when the child is coming into a very young class, then instead of being on their case all the time, because I think we also tell them, don't have their life so regimented, because nowadays what happens is the child is in school till 3 o'clock. Okay, he's going to have food from 3 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4, he's going to go for golf, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, he's going to be reading. So where is the time for any free play or anything fun? So we just tell them, saying, let the children develop on their own for the first couple of years, find out where their interests lie, what gives them joy, and let's explore that. Because if you're going to be telling them that you only need to sit and study, there is a possibility that the child is never going to get an opportunity to develop the stuff or work on the skills that he's going to maybe use later when he becomes a professional. So I just feel that's what we tell them. Just be a little hands-off right now and give him some time to develop. And trust the school also, because we are educators, so we know our jobs. So, trust us.
Yeah, I had many visitors that came to Israel from around the world to see the education system. And they always come and tell me, take me to the school. Like they want to see how the school operates. And then I said to them, in Israel, the kids, they go to school, they finish at 2, and there's like nothing. There's no plans. There is nothing is structured. They can do whatever they want until the evening. Maybe, twice a week, they will go for 1 hour or something. And they look at me like I fell from the moon. They're like, what do you mean? Like, they can play as much as they want. They can watch TV as much as they want. They can play video games as much. I said, not as much as they want, but, but a lot. And
it's unheard of in India. It's unheard of. Because just turning around and saying that you can do anything is unheard of.
Right. So my son is 13. I think he woke up today at 12. He probably went to sleep at 4 a.m. because it's a summer break. And he has certain things that he needs to do. But other than that, he is completely free. And I think what it creates lots of creativity and better ability to find your passion. The downside, by the way, is that academically they are not as good. But so do you see the advantage and disadvantage? But I think this advice from you is, A, don't compare them to yourself, and B, give them free time. I think those are like golden advices to every parent out there. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Komal, thank you very, very much for sharing your wisdom with me and with our audience. I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.